I kept telling myself it was over when the hinges on the door snapped with a banging. The wood splintered and, with it, the wooden door collapsed against the floor. The small screws that held it in place echoed while rolling, matching the beating of my heart as it wanted to spring out of my chest. I was stuck in my summer cabin during the winter, snowed in because I was too stupid to leave before these storms came. The Forest Service announced that it was time to leave about 2 weeks ago because my cabin is located on the top of some mountains that get too much snow during the winter to live in. I usually always leave on time when the Forest Service announces the closure, but I thought it would be fun to try and stay here over the winter. I stayed mainly because of the quarantine, and with everything closed, I thought it would be better. It was something that I had never done before, but I was prepared as I boarded up the lower windows like I usually did to make sure the snow didn't break through. I also had stockpiled enough food to last until February and made sure to call up the power companies to make sure that they didn't cut off the power on me this year because I was planning on staying longer. I didn't regret the idea until the first snowstorm. That's when reality hit me. There was no leaving until the snow melted away, and this was only going to grow as it was too cold for it to melt, and there were many more snowstorms coming my way. I spent most of my time building 1,000-piece puzzles while listening to the old CDs that I had stored up here. The memories of seeing my wife and children's smiling faces sitting at this table from times long ago brightened up my mood for a moment. But it was short as I wished they were here with me, especially my wife who had died 4 years ago. While thinking about her, I heard some scratching coming from the back wall. Wondering if it was an animal trying to get in, I opened the front door and yelled to scare it off. I heard it stop, and with a smile, I slowly began to close the door before I heard whispering. It was faint, but it was coming closer. Standing there, I was wondering what was making that sound and remembered I had left my CD player on, and that must have been what I heard. I brushed it off and returned back to working on the puzzle after grabbing a drink from the fridge. Upon closing the door, I heard the scratching again coming from the back wall. But this time, I just let it be, as it didn't bother me enough and it could probably just be branches brushing against the side of the building. "Dad, come look at this," a voice whispered from behind me. A tingle struck down my spine as I looked back to see no one there. The crazy thing is that the voice seemed so familiar, but one that I hadn't heard in so long. "Hello?" I asked the now quiet cabin after turning off the CD player. "Dad, it's cold. Help me," the voice said again, and it hit me as this was the voice of my daughter, but when she was younger. "Sarah, is that you?" I asked, wondering what in the hell was going on. "Dad, it's cold out here. Please let me inside," the voice said again, but more clear. Now I knew for a fact that this was not just my imagination. Was my daughter actually calling for me? Wait, no. That's crazy because she doesn't have that young childish voice anymore. She's married and is expecting to have a baby girl in spring, so there's no possible. "Are you going to let me die, Dad? Like you let Mom?" the voice said from outside. My body froze like a statue, as I wondered if this was just my imagination, or something much, much darker. "Please, it's so cold." "Who are you?" I asked with a quivering tone. It's me, Sarah. Your daughter. Please open the door. I'm going to freeze out here." The voice said from the other side of the door. The voice still sounded off as the tone didn't match up right. It was like a robot and devoid of emotion, which made it sound even scarier. At the time, I slowly tried to think of what to do, and I instinctively grabbed the metal rod, used for stirring the fire, and clenched it in my hand slightly, while moving away from the door. "You're not my daughter. Get the hell off my property, whoever you are," I screamed while backing away from the front door. The voice changed again, and it shocked me to my core. "Honey, why won't you let us in? Sarah wants to warm up next to the fire, and I want to see your smiling face again." Upon hearing this, I nearly dropped the metal rod to the ground, as it was the voice of my wife, and I took a step forward, thinking it was actually her. My mind was flooded with happy memories until I remembered attending her funeral. The voice outside wasn't my wife. It couldn't possibly be. "What do you want? Please, whoever's out there, I'm just an old man. I got nothing really worth stealing in here. Please, leave me alone." "Honey, don't you recognize me? Please take the boards off the windows so we can see each other." Frightened to my very core and having no idea on what to do next, I stayed silent while moving towards the bathroom. I snuck inside and locked the door, just hoping whatever was out there would go away. Was someone trying to mess with me? I asked myself. But how did they even get out here with all the snow? Well, it's not too bad yet, so it is possible that someone could get up here. But who? Who would be on the other side of that door? I heard the voice say something that I couldn't hear through the door. Right before, I heard a loud bang on the door. It was followed by another and another, as I could hear the hinges loosening up. I kept telling myself it was over when the hinges on the door snapped with the banging. The wood splintered and, with it, the wooden door collapsed against the floor. The small screws that held it in echoed while rolling, matching the beating of my heart as it wanted to spring out of my chest. I sat on the bathroom floor, dead silent, listening to every sound that followed. In a twisted voice, I could hear the words echoing, "Come out," through the insulated log walls. I held my breath listening to the wood boards creak, with every step from whatever just had broken down the door. Whatever this was had to be sadistic and trying to mess with me, and not just rob me, I thought to myself. That's up until I heard the sniffing and the footsteps switch to crawling that came closer and closer, until whatever it was right on the other side of the door. "I smell you," the voice said deeply. Chills ran up and down my body while I grabbed the metal rod I still had, even tighter, getting ready for the door to be broken down, just like the front door was. So I sat there, waiting to fight for my life, when I heard a voice call for me, saying faintly, "Mr. Miller, are you there? I heard that you were planning on staying over the winter, and I'm sorry, but you're not allowed." "Whoa, Mr. Miller, are you in there? What happened to your door?" I didn't know what to do or if I should warn whoever was out there, or was it just another trick of the thing before who imitated my family members. I took in a deep breath and knew I couldn't just stay where I was, so I unlocked the door and swung it open so fast, just in case I could hit whatever was just outside of it. As I did, I felt the door hit something, and so I shoved the door even harder until I heard someone one-shot in pain. I pulled back the door to see a park ranger land on the ground unconscious. Quickly, I looked around to see if anything else was there, just waiting to attack me at any waking moment, but luckily, I didn't see anything. "I'm so sorry, are you okay?" I asked the park ranger who I tried to help out. "Yeah," he said while rubbing his head before continuing. "The real question is, are you okay? What's going on here? I thought you had gotten attacked by a bear or something with the sides of this cabin all scratched up. Especially with that door being knocked over and letting in all the cold. Honestly, I don't know what that was there. I never saw it, but it sounded like another person. Are there any other vehicles out there besides mine and yours?" "No, I don't remember seeing anyone," he replied. "No one else is up here besides us, because it's closed during the wintertime. We got a call from the power company informing us that you were still up here, and you were requesting power over the winter. Look, we don't want to kick you out of your own cabin, but we have these rules to keep everyone safe. Now, we need to get the heck out of here right now." "I get it, but what's the rush? I still need to clean this place up and fix that door end. There's no time. We've already been here long enough and need to leave. Your vehicle probably won't be able to make it down, but I got snow chains in my Jeep, so just hop into mine and we can get out of here." "You can't just expect me to up and leave everything here, do you?" I asked frantically. "If you want to live, I do. Plus, you can come back once winter ends, but we need to leave before that thing comes back." "Wait, what? Are you talking about that thing that knocked down my door? You know about it. What is that thing?" The park ranger looked at me and just shook his head while widening his eyes and saying, "All you need to know is that we need to get the hell out of here." And then he grabbed my arm and yanked me towards the front door. While we were leaving, I could hear scratching coming from the back wall again. I ignored it as we ran out and hopped into his Jeep. Quickly, he drove down the snowy mountain, trying his best to keep the Jeep from sliding off the side. While he drove, I asked, "So, what was that thing that broke down my door? And don't try to sugarcoat it at all, or tell me it was a bear, because no bear can mimic human voices like that hellish thing did." The ranger sighed before saying, "I guess you already know enough that it won't make a difference if I told you what we know. But to be honest, we're just as confused as you on what that thing is. We've tried to figure it out over the years, but every time we leave people in this area over the winter, we come and investigate and they all end up missing. And there is no explanation of who or what did it. Really? So I'm not losing my mind after all. What else do you know about it?" I asked. "Nothing more than I told you, besides the fact that this thing only seems to come out during the winter. That's the main reason we have the rule for all the people who own cabins in this area, that they are not allowed to stay here during the winter like you. We blame it on the snow and the bitterly cold winters. And that's the reason that they don't come up to their cabins all year long. And don't get me wrong, both of those things are good reasons. It's just that the main reason is because of that thing. We have no idea how to deal with it, so we've been following these rules and regulations since the 1950s, right back when it was first sighted." Upon hearing this, I sat there motionless, not knowing if this guy was actually trying to mess with me, because he never had seen the monster and only had heard it, and it really could have been him the whole time. Plus, when I had opened the bathroom door, I hit that guy, and that's exactly where the creature was just moments before. I kept wondering this until I heard a faint scratching coming from the back of the Jeep.